Well, here I am at another boat launch, and I cannot believe how quickly today I made a decision to get out on the water. Usually I plan 24, 48 hours in advance, checking the wind, the weather. This morning I got up and it was sunny, it was warm. I checked wind finder and the winds looked very light. I thought, you know, I could get out. It's already 10:30 in the morning though. Where the heck can I go that quickly? Well, there's only one place for me to go that fast, and that is a 40-minute drive from my house to get down here. I'm at Bluffers Park. This is Lake Ontario, and I'm going to launch from the boat ramp down here. And guess what? This boat ramp is actually free Monday to Friday. They don't charge. It's a green pea parking situation here. They do charge on the weekends. And I was just talking to a fella here. He said you have to wait till 9 o'clock in the morning unless you've got the app. But on the weekends at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can pay for the parking and use it on the weekends. And it's a lot busier, of course, on the weekends. But right now, during the week, it is absolutely free, and they've got great launches here. I've been out here before. There's a launch over here, and then there's another launch over on this side. So two pretty good concrete pads to get into the water. So my plan for the day is just to kind of launch here at Bluffers Park. I'll go down to the Toronto Inner Harbour, cruise around through the Inner Harbour, maybe over to Toronto Island through that area, and then back. I can do this whole ride in about 4 hours or so. So that's the plan for today. Get the Sea-Doo unhooked, get it in the water, and another little Yukon Bob adventure starting right now. I find if I take good care of the Sea-Doo, it takes good care of me. Like anything else. I didn't really even need the cover on. I could have come down here because I'm not very far away, but I did have the cover on already, so I just kind of kept it on. I probably won't put the cover on going back home. We'll just throw that in there. Okay, let's get the camera gear loaded on, and luckily all of my camera gear was charged already. I had it all charged up, so I didn't have to kind of wait for camera gear to charge or anything this morning. I could just make the decision to throw it in the truck and go. Okay, it just takes a couple of minutes. I think I've got all the gear loaded onto the Sea-Doo. I'm going to bring a jacket and a long pair of pants just in case I need it out of the cold water. Camera here, camera there. Got the Garmin ready to go. All we have to do now is back it in the water over to that ramp there, or I could use that ramp over there, but I think I'll just go in there and have it in the water and tie it up and we'll be ready to go. All right, that's a pretty quick launch today. Just took me about 10 minutes to kind of get everything onto the Sea-Doo, get it ready to go, get it into the water. It's the thing with the Sea-Doo is you can get it into the water pretty darn quickly. You just have to, you know, get it lined up on the ramp a little bit. And I actually had to pull around another truck and trailer ready to get in the water. But he said, "You want me to move?" I said, "Nah, it's a Sea-Doo thing. I can just back right around you and get it into the water." So this is Bluffers Park. There's a launch right over there, and then there's another launch right over there. So two launches here, and right out there is Lake Ontario. So this is just a little inlet here that you come into, and you can launch in here, and then there's another marina, which is down over that way. But really, right away, you're out onto the big waters of Lake Ontario, which is right out that way as soon as you get out of this little harbor in here. It's a place where a lot of people like to come on the weekends or even during the week. A lot of people who live in the Toronto area, this is a place you can get down to very quickly. There's some sand beaches down in this area, and it's a big recreational area for people who've got boats and for people who don't have boats. It's just a popular spot within the Toronto region. So I've decided just to layer up a little bit. I can already feel as soon as you get on the water that the temperature drops quite a bit from land, and this water, put your foot in the water. Lake Ontario right now at this time of year is very cold. That water is cold. So I'm going to layer up a little bit, put a jacket on. If I need to later on, I can pull it off. I don't think I'll put long pants on, at least not right yet. If I have to, I brought them and I can put them on a little bit later, but better to be starting off a little warmer than to get nice and chilled out there and then have to put stuff on later. So I think I'll do it right now. A little bit of garbage in the water here, a piece of plastic right in the harbor. So I hope it's not too rough out there. It says it's going to be very, very calm, but it looks a little bit bumpy, and I've got a ways to go out on open water on Lake Ontario if I want to get down to the inner harbor of Toronto. I don't know how many kilometers that is away, but it's at least probably an hour to get down there and then maybe an hour to get back. And then once I'm in the Toronto Inner Harbour, of course, it's really well protected in there and it'll be nice and calm. But just to get down and all the way down along the shoreline of Lake Ontario to Inner Harbour, Toronto, let's just hope it stays fairly nice and it's not too bumpy all the way down. We'll see. Okay, I've just reset the gauges, the tripometer, the moving average, total average, moving time, all of those gauges, just to keep a record of how far we go today, how fast our top speed is, all that sort of stuff. Just try to remember to reset that thing every time before I head out onto the water, just to have some information about the trip, some data. Okay, I think everything is set. I think we are ready to go. Yeah, the air is cold. Even though it's going to be about 26 degrees outside, the temperature of the air over the water is quite a bit colder. This area right up here, I've shown this before in some past videos. It's called the Scarborough Bluffs. Big, tall clay cliffs. Just that drop right down into the shoreline, right up here. Every now and then, once in a while, you'll see a chunk of these cliffs kind of break off and come falling down into the water. But not today, I don't think. This might be a good place to put the drone in the air. I've done it here before and fly the drone, because later on, I'm not going to be able to fly the drone at all. Once you get down towards the area of Toronto Inner Harbour, there's the Billy Bishop Airport there, so with the airport being right in the Inner Harbour on the Toronto Island, there's be no flying of a drone anywhere around in that area. So if I wanted to do that, it would have to be somewhere down in this area here. Actually, the last time I was here, see that notch right in between there? Between those two pillars, I flew the drone right in through there and then just flew it over that way. That's the marina where I launched, or the Bluffers Park launch area. It's just over those willows over there on the other side. But you can see there's a trail that comes out, and it comes out to this beach area here. So it doesn't take much for people to walk from the parking lot area over there out to this beach, and then they've got this beautiful beach area. It's a Friday today, so it's not exactly packed, but on the weekends that gets pretty busy. But that's the big lake there, Lake Ontario. It's a little bit, it's not rough, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more smooth than it is right now. I thought it'd be more glassy. Maybe it'll get that way a little towards the afternoon, but we'll see. We've got ourselves a Yamaha over here, one other guy in a Yamaha. Looks like he's gonna gun it. Just out for a little ride. Let's take off and head down that way. Let me get out of this and go back home. Where's back home? There's home. Let's get to the charts, navigation chart, and there we are, land and water. You know what's interesting that I've found so far is you hit these warm spots of air. You're going along and all of a sudden the air gets really warm and it feels really nice. And then you go a little further and boom, there's another cold spot of air. So just depends where you are, I guess. A little bit rougher than I thought it was going to be out here today. I mean, it's not really rough, but there's a little bit of wave action. Probably what I'm seeing is that it was blowing yesterday and the lake hasn't totally calmed down and settled down from yesterday. So even though the wind is like 4 or 5K, though the water action, the wave action on the water still hasn't fully settled down yet. I think it might settle down a little bit more as the afternoon goes on, but maybe a little bit bumpy on the way down there. I'm going to put those on instead of sunglasses. I just find my eyes are starting to water a little bit at speed, and you know, they get a little blurry. It's a little harder to see. When you put these things on, they kind of suck right up against your eyeballs around your, they're like ski goggles, but they look more like a pair of sunglasses sort of thing. I used to use them occasionally on the motorcycle, but haven't used them all that much. But I found last week I was out, I don't think I showed you in the video, but I had them on for a while on the long ride home, which I didn't videotape last week. But they really helped, and they just kind of keep the pressure off the eyeballs a bit from the wind, and gives you a little clearer vision because your eyes aren't watering. At least I find that's the case for me. So I'll put those on. May look a little funny. They're not quite as elegant as nice sunglasses, but they work a little better. It's all about function over style out here. Right up there, going to take you up to the edge of that. That's the Toronto water treatment facility. It's an old building. It's really historic kind of looking. I've always said in the past it reminds me something out of the Shawshank Redemption movie, like the prison or something like that. But it's really just a water treatment facility, and it looks like they're doing some work. So let's get over there and have a look. Ah, we got more people on the edge here jumping in the water. Maybe one more shot of people jumping in the water off the edge. Let's have a look here. Oh yeah, I think they're jumping in. Looks like it. Yes, sir. They are jumping in. Okay, this is for YouTube in a couple of weeks' time for Yukon Bob Sea-Doo channel. Let me get it first on high-speed frame rate so I can really slow this down. 1 sec. We're recording. Anytime you guys want to go.
3, 2, 1, go!
That seems to happen every time I go out now. I find people jumping off cliffs, off of ledges into the water. And there's that building I was talking about. Doesn't that look like something out of the Shawshank Redemption? Like the prison? They just had an open house a couple of weeks ago where all these facilities around Toronto, places that you don't normally get into, were open to the public, and they had tours. And I thought of this place because it was one of them on the list, but I never did get down. I think it'd be really interesting to have a tour through that. And if you can make it out, there's the CN Tower right down that way. That's where we're going, into Toronto Inner Harbour. But to get there, we have to go way out there, around the point of land, and then come back into Toronto Inner Harbour. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is what they call Cherry Beach. I think my son comes down here and plays beach volleyball once a week or something like that. I think this is the place, or maybe it's further that way. I'm not 100% sure. Marker here, we can't go in any closer than that. That's all for swimming in there. We've got our swans over here again. Looks like 4 adults. So last week when I was out, I showed you a swan in the video last week, and there was some youngsters with them at that point. Couldn't remember what you call a young swan. I know that young Canada geese are called goslings, but what do you call a young swan? I've since figured it out. They're called siglets. I don't see any siglets here, just the adults. But they're beautiful. And they can be pretty aggressive. There was one last year I went into Toronto Harbour, and there was it came right up at me. It must have had youngsters on the siglets on the shore, but it came right out and attacked the Sea-Doo. It was like within feet of me, just kind of trying to drive me away from where its youngsters were. These guys seem less aggressive. So is that Cherry Beach or is that not Cherry Beach? Not 100% sure. If you know, leave a comment below and let me know. I think it is, but because it goes all the way along here, and I think this is Cherry Beach, what they call Cherry Beach. Not super packed today. It's fairly warm, but it's not into the 30s. Next week, the heat is going to be on. Now, I say next week, by the time you guys see this, the timing will be all messed up. So, but we've got some substantial heat coming our way in Toronto in the next little while. And again, there's the CN Tower down that way, but to get to it, we got to go around. So, let's go. Beach way in there, maybe that's Cherry Beach. So just riding along on Lake Ontario, and I haven't seen this before, came across all of these Sea-Doos or personal watercraft just parked along the shoreline here. So I thought I'd stop and take a little video of them. There's got to be 20, 30 machines out here. I thought it was some kind of riding club or something like that, but apparently it's not. It's just a bunch of people who are out for a nice day riding on the water. So yeah, there's everything from the Sparks to the GTIs to the big 300s. I don't see a 325 here, but what a great little spot. Don't know where they all launched from or where they came in from, but there's a lot of them here. It's the first time I've seen around Ontario that many personal watercraft all parked in one area. A couple of them were subscribers to the Yukon Bob Sea-Doo channel. Many others had never heard of it. I don't know if you can make that out or not, but there's a really big black plume of smoke coming up from there. Something is burning over there. I don't know what the heck that is, but it's a fairly big fire because that smoke is covering quite a wide area at its base and fairly black. Have to watch the news tonight, see if something burnt in Toronto. But yeah, just noticed that kind of going by, that big black plume of smoke. Just this little beach area up in front of me here. The water's fairly clear in here, it's nice. And then there's a bunch of boulders coming up. But then there's a nice beach up there. I'm just gonna see if I can park up on the beach for a sec. Yeah, should be able to. A pretty little spot, except for all the rebar sticking out. There's a lot of rebar, a lot of broken concrete all around here. This is an area where I guess they're sort of reclaiming land and stuff like that. They bring a lot of stuff, dump it here, and then over time vegetation grows in over top of it, and they can kind of reclaim more land this way. So all along here, there's just all this rebar that's now rusted. The water is very nice and clean in here. It's nice and pure. It looks clear. Okay, I'm just going to see if the drone will actually start here. It probably won't because of the proximity to the airport. But maybe I could get a shot of the Toronto skyline just from here. I'm not on the approach to the airport here. Let's just see. Let's see what happens. Okay, I guess it will fly here. I'm going to just take it up a little bit and give you a shot of the Toronto skyline, a little bit of this basin through here. Just go for a quick little flight. Well, apparently you are not allowed to fly a drone here. Usually it will tell me on the controller on the drone if it's a permitted area to fly. In some areas it's totally restricted, the drone won't even start, but it said permitted, so I took off and I flew it. But one of the staff here who was up in that red vehicle just up there came down here and said you're not allowed to fly it here. One is the airport, and I was aware of the airport, so I wasn't keeping it very high, it was fairly low. And the other one was the birds. This is kind of a bird sanctuary kind of area in here, and birds don't like drones, and sometimes drones don't like birds. So he said you can't fly it here. And he was really nice about it, and I said, yeah, okay, I understand. I'll bring it down and land it right away. So that's what I did. But I think we did get a couple of shots maybe of the Toronto skyline there. Hope that works out, we'll see. Anyway, drone's back safe and sound. This, by the way, is the Air 2S. I didn't bring the Mavic Air 3 with me today, I just brought the Air 2S, and this is probably all I'll fly it, because once I get into the inner harbor, there'll be definitely no flying in there, because that's the flight path to the Billy Bishop Airport in there, right over the lake, and they come in pretty low, so it won't even start in there, I'm sure, because the drone will know its location and it wouldn't start there. But it said it was permitted here, but apparently not. Okay, let's push the Sea-Doo off a little bit. I've got all these rocks in my shoes, so I can shake some out before I get back on the Sea-Doo. That water is still pretty cold. It has not warmed up a heck of a lot. So if you were to fall in here and be in the water for any length of time, that would not be a good thing. I don't know what the temperature is. Somewhere on here it'll tell me, but I don't see it right now. Not a bad little beach area though, despite all the rebar sticking up all over the place. Pretty good landing spot. I think we got a few nice pictures with the drone. We'll see later. Okay, still gonna make our way out that way, out around the point, and then back down into Toronto Inner Harbour. Maybe I can get those last rocks off out of there. Oh, that's cold. Great big cargo ship, the Helena G. Madeira. How would you like to come off that lifeboat there? Look at that drop from there to the water. If you had to launch that lifeboat off of there, that would be one hell of a drop into the water. Everybody in there and then straight down off the back of the boat. But I suppose you're only doing that if it's kind of a desperate situation. But as you can see, a boardwalk all the way along the shoreline. Lots of people out today with bicycles or just walking along, enjoying the day. And I think it's going to get a lot calmer as the day goes on. Things do seem to be settling down a little bit more in the inner harbor here in Toronto. And I think it'll be a nicer ride back than it was on the way out, even though it wasn't that bad on the way out. So there's a bit of the cityscape for you. I've always liked that building right up there. It's just the way they've done it with the colors and stuff like that. It just has this really kind of interesting geometry to it. Looks kind of neat. Those are the Toronto Island ferries. They run from there straight across the lake over to Toronto Island, back and forth. And I don't see any of them running today. There's also these other things here, these water taxis. They're all over the harbor here in Toronto, in the inner harbor, running back and forth. You're actually supposed to have a special license to drive a boat, operate a boat within Toronto Inner Harbor. Just because, I guess, of all the kind of traffic that's here, because of the approach to the airport that's up here. There's a kind of a no-go zone in front of the airport as well. It's all marked with white buoys. But as long as you behave sensibly in here and you're not here all the time, I'm here like maybe once a year, once a season I come through here. And I just take it really easy in here. I'm not speeding around in the harbor at all, and I haven't had a problem thus far. But technically speaking, you are supposed to have an inner harbor license in order to operate a water vessel within this area. And there is a police station, a marine station just up here on the water. So you could get a ticket if you don't have that license. But the thing about that license is, from what I read about it, it's not that easy to get. You got to come down and take a little course, and it takes a day or two to get the thing. I think you've got to write the exam down here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, and then get the license and that sort of stuff. So I should get it one day. But if you behave sensibly down here and don't be an idiot, you should be okay. You don't attract attention to yourself. So I haven't seen this thing here before. I don't know what the heck this contraption is in the water. It looks like some kind of light thing. Yeah, it's for some kind of light show. Those are all LED lights on there. And I guess that thing somehow lights up. It looks like those lights also turn. And they do something with this at night. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Like I said at the start of this video, this is the kind of ride I like to do, you know, maybe once a year. It's easy, 40 minutes, I can leave the house and I can be down in the water. And it's a nice, quick, easy ride to do, particularly on a nice, sunny, warm day. And when it's calm, just kind of get down here, cruise along the inner harbor, look at all the beautiful buildings and the skyscape of Toronto. It's the nice thing about a Sea-Doo is you can just get right in close anywhere. I could probably have a beaver tail delivered to the Sea-Doo. One beaver tail to go for Yukon Bob. Right through over there, the red and the white, that is the broadcast center for CBC radio and television in Toronto. I spent 11 years working there, 33 years total with the CBC, but I think it was 11 years. We're right downtown here in Toronto. Used to take a GO train, what they call a GO train, from near my house that would take me right down to Union Station, and then just walk over to the CBC there, which is basically across from the CN Tower. So the downtown area of Toronto I knew fairly well at that time, but I don't come downtown all that much anymore. Just such a hassle to get down here with traffic and parking and all of that. So I don't come down all that much anymore. Usually when I see downtown Toronto, it's like this, from the Sea-Doo, from the water. There's one of the airlines, looks like a Dash 8 on approach to Billy Bishop Airport. And that is why you cannot fly a drone anywhere in this area, which makes sense. There's the Rogers Center. Look at those big canoes. That's the type that the voyageurs used to use. I think I should turn around and get a picture of me with the CN Tower in the background. So that basically is the Toronto skyline from the water. The airport, right over there. There's a bunch of white markers and buoys all around the front of that entrance to the airport where it's a no-go zone. You're not allowed in over there. And then the skyline kind of ends just down over this way. Toronto Island straight across over that way. So I think what I might do is just take a quick run over to Toronto Island. I usually do that when I'm down here, just drive and cruise through the island a little bit and have a look. So this is one of the entrances to Toronto Island. There's a whole bunch of kind of waterways that weave themselves in and around Toronto Island. A bunch of passageways. We'll take one or two of those today and just have a little look around. Yeah, lots of weeds in here though. Better be careful of those. But you could tie up along that wall there. There's lots of places to tie onto. Then there's a little ladder along the side that you can just kind of climb up, and picnic tables a little bit back in there. I think I have pulled in here in the past and pulled up to one of those picnic tables there and had lunch there a couple of years ago. You can kind of see on the map here all the little canals and stuff. This is all in the yellow here, all Toronto Center Island. And then there's all these little canals and stuff that kind of weave and wind their way through it. If you've never been over here, it's a neat place to come for a day, just to kind of hang out. There's a fair amount to do here. Have lunch down here, that sort of thing. Catch a ferry from Toronto over there, come across on the ferry, spend the day on Toronto Center Island. Well, I think I'm going to wind up this video right here with the skyline of the city of Toronto right behind me. We've taken a cruise all along the inner harbor, the waterfront, through Center Island, through the canals through there. Now I'm just going to kind of make my way back over to Bluffers Park, where I launched from. Take me about an hour, hour and a half to get back over there. But I've already shot that, so we won't bother shooting that. I will say thank you for joining me on this Yukon Bob video with the city of Toronto skyline behind me. Always like to do this ride, as I said, at least once a year, and I've done it for this year, so maybe we'll get back one more time this year, maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. Thanks for coming along on this Yukon Bob video, a little warmer than the last one. We'll see you guys out on the water somewhere shortly. If not, be safe out there. See you soon. Bye for now.